Hey guys, what's up? Pixels here, and it's been a while since we've done a video for Evil Dead the game, but I wanted to do an ultimate guide for Warrior Ash. I actually have this guy Prestige 5 level 30, and we're going to go through how to design his build, how to play the character, also telling you guys what weapons to use, etc. So let's begin anyways. So when I'm designing his build, obviously, we only just put 1 point in the last word. That's not really a priority here. With this guy, if you look at his kit, obviously he has Wise Man Potion. It's all about damage reduction, obviously health restored, and also damage increase and a fear reduction as well. So it's a really handy ability. It's absolutely awesome. So we're going to play around that while designing his build. And not only that, but we have the shield blast there. So once the shield is depleted, or like a shield bar is depleted, it'll trigger an explosion dealing 125 damage or 160 damage depending on how much you have this guy leveled up. And of course, finish strong. The shield bar restored is 40. So obviously spamming finishes with this guy is a priority, so bear that in mind when you're designing his build as well. And the weapon mastery with the chainsaw, it's sort of okay. It's nothing amazing. You will perform a lot better using something like an axe on this guy, but we're not going to be designing the build around the knowledge that we're going to be using a chainsaw or anything like that. We're actually going to design it around a totally different weapon. Okay, so like I said, you just put 1 point in the last word. That's the only priority there. There's different chainsaw builds where you can like just spam the chainsaw or light attacks with last word. It might work a little bit, but honestly, it's not an effective way to play this guy, and I'll explain why. So what we do is we put 3 points in a reinforced amulet. Like I said, this guy's all about damage reduction. Stacking with his potion is priority here, because if you do drink your potion, you've got reinforced amulet there and a bunch of other damage reductions. That way you're not going to take a lot of damage from possessed units, and you're actually going to save in resources for your team and all that good stuff. And also we're going to come down here to Tougher Than Hell. Again, we're just going to buff up the damage reduction by 10% there as well. So if you do have a shield active, if you are spamming finishes with this guy, you will have shield active quite a lot. So you're always going to be taking like, an extra 20% damage reduction right there, which is absolutely amazing. So we're just going to put 1 point in an Artful Dodger. You can put 3 points into this, but it's really a play style dependent type of thing. That's primarily a good selection on a character like Scotty or Mia, where those guys, they'll primarily be swinging heavy attacks and being quite vulnerable. So using dodges to kind of combat with that will definitely help those guys out, but it doesn't really work that well with Army of Darkness Ash. And then we're going to put 4 points into Devastating Force, 3 points into Seeing Stars. Balance bar damage is quite key on this character, mainly because you want to spam those finishes, so having the balance bar damage maxed out always obviously makes the most sense. I put 1 point into Blunt Force Trauma, and then I put 3 points into Heavy Hitter. So a Heavy Hitter, I primarily use this against possessed units and obviously boss units. I do not use Heavy Hitter on basic AI. I will use it from time to time, if I need to clear some crowds out and my shield bar is absolutely like just maxed out or something like that, I'll start using Heavy Hitter for that. Because if you put Heavy Hitter in this build, you're actually going to have some defense against possessed units, or offense against possessed units, sorry. And also it's going to work well for Book Phase scenarios as well. And then we're just going to put 1 point into Industrial Strength for now. And then we're going to put 2 points into Quicker Cooldown. With this guy, like I said, you want to have the potion being the primary thing here. So this actually brings the potion cooldown, I think, around 81 seconds or something. It's actually a really nice adjustment for this guy, because what you'll find is you'll use your potion mainly out of combat quite a lot. And if you're doing like during the looting phase and stuff, we'll get into how to use the potion, but just to briefly say, having quicker cooldown definitely helps you out during looting phase scenarios and stuff, so that way you can keep topping your health up and bringing your fear level down. And then we're going to put just 1 point into damage reduction there, and we put another point into damage reduction against the boss units, and then we're going to put 1 point into damage reduction against elites. So this is what my Army of Darkness build always looks like before I prestige a character. Obviously I haven't spent the extra 5 skill points, but this is what it should look like, honestly, because with the damage reduction, I'll go more in depth about damage reduction in another video, but like I said, stacking the damage reduction on this guy is very key. And health is not that important, honestly, unless you're sort of playing solo queue quite a lot. You may want to buff up your Industrial Strength. The reason why damage reduction is so important is that you're basically getting free health without the cost of drinking a Shemps. So if you upgrade your Industrial Strength, your Shemps isn't going to obviously heal you as much as it would if you had just damage reduction stacked on top of your character. So just say you had like your maximum health and you took some damage all the way down to orange health, and then you drank a cola, it would pretty much almost put you up to full health because you have damage reduction. However, if you had like really loads of health and then, you know, it got drained down to orange, it would probably take a lot more to get your healing back up to full health, if that makes sense. So that's why damage reduction is really important, especially stacked with like reinforced amulet or something like that. And with the extra 5 points, what I tend to do is I put those into Seasoned Survivor against the boss units and the basic units, because I feel like they're the biggest threat on the game. And so obviously combating against those is always a strong priority there. And then with the last point, I just put a little bit extra in health. And what you can do, if you do like to use a mace or something with this guy, you can put it into Blood Force Trauma, so that way if you use a mace or a sledgehammer or something, you can obviously break balance bars a lot faster. But obviously I don't use the mace quite a lot on this guy. The Lumberjack Axe is my favorite, so I will put that in extra health. So okay, so now I'm just going to tell you guys how to quickly play Army of Darkness Ashe. It's just a few brief key pointers on how to play him. He's not really that too complicated to play. Like I said, he is my most played character. I have a lot of experience under my belt with Army of Darkness Ashe, but you know, he's really not that hard to learn. Like I said, the main thing is spamming finishes. So you just want to regenerate your shield as much as possible with this dude. You know, focus on the basic AI, the elites. You'll get a lot of shield from those, and you'll find yourself losing shield in the process of trying to regain shield. That's totally fine. It's basically like sort of like an infinite health type of scenario until you get to a possessed unit. So when you get a possessed unit, like I said when I was going over the build, heavy attacks are priority here. So having the Lumberjack Axe with that, and obviously combined with the ability of his potion, it will work really well. It also works well against boss units too. So especially Evil Ash, you know, Evil Ash has a heal block, so you know, having like doing the heavy attacks with him and having your shields is, you know, like a big priority there as well. I will say is this guy is not designed to do loads of damage. You can do loads of damage. It is not an effective way to play him overall. Like, to get the most use out of his kit, this is the type of build that I like to use, obviously. And the type of playstyle I have is to spam finishes. There is different builds that I have done. You know, you can do like loads of damage. You can go for two-handed weapon mastery. But what you will find there is that you'll have the inability to actually spam finishes on some units. And that way you can't get your shield regenerated either, which kind of sucks, because like that's his best part of his kit, other than his potion, is being able to regenerate his shield and having reinforced amulet combining with that. And then obviously having the shield blast, you're getting free damage every time your shield bar gets depleted. So bear that in mind when you're playing this guy. You may come onto the scoreboard, you might not have a lot of damage around him, and you know that's good. That just means you've played the character right. You can go, like I said, you can go crazy. You can get like 190k damage games with this dude. It's totally possible. But honestly, in my opinion, that's just not an effective way to play him. We have other characters in the game primarily designed for that type of scenario, like doing loads of damage, like Mia, Scotty, all the hunters, for example. Like, those are there to do the damage. You're here to be a tank. You're here to survive. And that's what an Army of Darkness Ashe player should be like. And of course, you should keep your amulets for hard situations, being targeted, fighting 1v1 or book phase. So, like I said, you're going to be spamming finishes, you're going to be regenerating your shield. So, primarily, you will not be using your amulets. The only time I'll use an amulet is, you know, if I'm during the looting phase, I find extra amulets lying around, I'll pop those. That way, I always keep my 3 stack under my character. And I keep those in case, like, you know, I get a boss spawn on me 1v1, or I keep it for the book phase, because that way with the book phase, I'm always swinging heavy attacks. I'm more likely to get hit from a possessed unit or something and take quite a bit of damage. So obviously having the amulets there to take the damage reduction off my health and stuff, it definitely helps out. So bear that in mind. Always keep your amulets for hard situations. If you're actually playing with a Henry or something, I've actually dropped my amulets for Henry players a couple of times, because with me being Army Darkness Ashe, I get free shield pretty much a lot with the way I play him. So I don't even have to worry about popping amulets most of the time. I can drop those for another character like Henry, where he's going to get more benefits out of them because he actually can't regenerate them himself, unfortunately. So you know, it just depends on the type of situation that you're playing. But like I said, be sure to save your amulets for sticky situations rather than just popping them during or starting objectives when there's not much going on, because that'll just be a waste. And, you know, you're kind of counteracting the way to play the character a bit. Okay, so we're going to move on to when to use his ability. So since the ability is on a shorter cooldown, like I suggested in the build, always have a shorter cooldown on this guy. You can use it to top up your health or lower your fear during the looting phase. So we all do it, you know, when you're looting, you'll get hit in the back a few times when you open a crate or something like that. your fear level will generally increase when you're running around looting, looking for the map pieces. So you can always pay attention to that with the white bar and obviously the fear bar. And, you know, be sure to just utilize the potion as soon as possible with that. You know, it'll keep topping your health up. It'll bring your fear level down so the demon can't detect you as fast early game as well. So be sure to just keep an eye on your health and fear bars with this dude, and, you know, just keep popping the potion with that. And what I will say, during objectives, I don't usually pop it straight away during objectives. The only time I do it is against a boss unit, a power possession from Elagos. So those are the, you know, the ones that are red glowing, because those tend to do quite a lot of damage to the characters as well. And it's just primarily on objectives and, you know, overwhelming situations where there's just a lot of demon AI or demon units around you with a boss unit or something. That's when you should be popping the potion there. I see so many people using the potion at the wrong time. You know, primarily people might just go, oh, I'm going to use my potion at the start of this objective, and just start swinging, killing loads of basics, and then, you know, the boss unit spawns and then you don't have your potion anymore, which sucks. So the potion does last around 20 seconds, I believe. So, you know, you do have quite a lot of leg room, or, you know, you have a lot of time to sort of keep using the potion in certain situations. So don't worry if you feel like you've used it at the wrong time. Sometimes that 20 seconds can last throughout an entire, you know, bad situation where a boss would spawn as well. So like I said, just be wary when you are using the potion. Like I said, it's something that you'll learn over experience and time playing the character, when to use it. You know, timing the potion correctly with this guy is very key. Obviously, what I suggest is don't really use the potion and then start spamming finishes as well, because you're kind of not getting the most benefit out of that. Like I said, having it up when there's a boss unit, you know, doing some heavy attacks on the boss unit with the potion, the boss unit's health will just get melted pretty quickly as well. So we're going to move on to what weapons to use on this character. So primarily a lumberjack axe. That's my favorite to use on this character. I always use it on this guy. It's really good for breaking balance bars and spamming finishes. And then it's also got the hyper armor there to spam the heavy attacks on possessed units and boss units. That way you can absolutely just devastate any demon unit on the game. And then I like to use the mace as well. The mace is just really good for spamming finishes. It also has a little bit of hyper armor on its heavy attacks. And for those of you who don't understand what hyper armor is, that is basically, you know, not being able to be interrupted during your heavy attack animations. So with the lumberjack axe, you'll find yourself not really getting interrupted at all. And then you'll have the mace there as well. The sword's pretty good. The sword, you have to learn a little bit of combat with it. So you can do like a heavy. Always try and avoid the second heavy attack, because this one tends to miss stuff more than it actually hits them, unfortunately. So if you are using a sword, be sure to just try and avoid using the second heavy attack. So you do like a heavy, then a light, then a third heavy, and then a fourth heavy, because I don't know why the sword just has a weird hit detection with that. And then there's the chainsaw. The chainsaw has the worst heavy attacks in the game, in my opinion. They look pretty cool, but unfortunately they do not hit very well. But the chainsaw does work well if you keep spamming lights with this guy. But primarily just stay away from using heavies. This is why I don't really like to pick the chainsaw up with this dude, because, you know, I have heavy hitter in my build, and if I'm not using heavy hitter on the chainsaw, it's sort of a waste of having points into heavy hitter in my build. So the build I've give you, I would not recommend using the chainsaw unless it's at the start of the game and you really need to, you know, just pick a weapon up. That's fine. Obviously use a chainsaw there, but always look out for an axe, a mace, or a sword there. That is definitely the priority there. What I will say is don't bother using shovels, sledgehammers, unless they are legendary. Say if you have a mace, an axe, or a sword, don't pick up a shovel or a sledgehammer, even if they're at a higher rarity, unless they are legendary, because these have horrible heavy attack detection as well. It also tries to attack almost everything on your screen at once, and your character will just get thrown around. You'll miss so many easy hits as well with that. So be sure to just stay away from those. Like I said, if they're legendary, that's fair enough. You can hit a light with that, get a finisher, and the heavies will do well against boss units and possessed units. But honestly, I don't bother with these weapons. You will find yourself better performing with a common lumberjack axe than any rarity of a shovel or a sledgehammer, unless it's a legendary. So the heavy attacks are just bad with those weapons overall, in my opinion. So the next one we're going to move on to is how to spend the pink fuck on Army of Darkness Ashe. So the main thing is stamina. Always stamina first. So I'm giving you two options here. Depends on how, like, who you're playing with, or if you're playing solo queue. So if you survivor friends, go with stamina first, then go for melee, then go for shield, and then go for health. So The reason why I go for melee first is having the 20% extra attack speed is a massive priority when you're playing with friends, to be honest. And you're not going to worry about your shield too much early game as well. So, you know, it's even if you get found first, you're going to have some teammates to back you up, probably because you are playing with friends. And obviously having health at the last one there. And then you just put points into fear and then just put range last, obviously, because you're playing warrior, you're not going to be using range too much. So now with solo queue, it's a little bit different. So I go stamina and then I go shield first. And the main reason I go shield first is because if I'm looting, I want to obviously spam finishes as early game as possible, so that way I can get my shield up to full bars pretty much for free early game. You will find yourself obviously losing shield bar health and stuff like that, but having the shield maxed out early game will make this guy like a lot more survivable, if that makes sense. And then obviously going for melee third, so that way we get the 20% extra attack speed and then health again as the fourth option there. So yeah, guys, this has been my ultimate guide to playing Army of Darkness Ashe. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. Leave me a comment if you have any questions about the character. Like I said, I've got a lot of experience playing this character, so I kind of know pretty much all the ins and outs of playing this character. And he's very basic and very easy to learn. And for me, he is the best survivor in the game. So getting good with this guy, you can be almost unstoppable. And honestly, with the build I have right now, like I always say, good luck killing me, because I'm pretty much going to be unkillable with this build. Even in 1v1 situations, most of the time I win my 1v1s because I have so much damage reduction there with my potion stacked and my reinforced amulet there. You know, demon players, they always struggle against me when I'm using this build, and it's a lot of fun. So, and it works well in both, you know, works well with friends, it works well in solo queue as well. Like I said, if you don't have in Prestige 5, though, I did give you the basis of the build that you can use with the original 25 points as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, leave me a comment if you have any questions about the character. Leave me a like, hit that sub button for more Evil Dead content. And I've been Pixels, my awesome viewers. I'll catch you guys in the next one.